environmental science, you've got to have a decent handle on what I refer to as the 5 basic sciences. First is biology. Well, let's take something like this African violet here. I know something about it. Well, it's got to have water to pull up into its root system. The leaves are going to take carbon dioxide from the sun. So it's going to take this abiotic, non-living carbon dioxide. It's going to take this other abiotic, non-living H2O, and in the presence of sunlight or UV, ultraviolet radiation, it converts these into sugars or starches. So I have to know something about the basic needs of biology. I breathe out the carbon dioxide. The plant takes it in, converts it into sugars, starches, growth, a biotic factor, and it gives off oxygen, which I breathe in. You need to know something about earth science, like weather currents, or, for example, the water cycle. So here we have water that is being vaporized. The vapors rise up through the tube, collect here, they condense through here and reform into water down here, just like in the real world. Water evaporates, condenses as it cools through the cooling chamber. As it condenses, it precipitates and it drips back out, collecting it here in my lake, if you will. And we need to know something about earth science, like rocks. Rocks, what they are and how they form. So like we can see in here, how the crystals are forming, or some other rocks, how they form crystals. And interestingly enough, some crystals have certain properties. Like this one tends to glow a little bit green in a black light. Who knew? You need to know something about physics, like Bernoulli's principle. Or like Newton's third law, which says a increased force increases acceleration. So if I use small force, increased force increases the acceleration. Now, fast, my nail moves into the wood. Or increased mass decreases acceleration. It's hard. You need to know something about chemistry. Study of chemicals, atoms, how they're put together, which we studied. So right here, one of the aspects of chemistry is understanding something about acid-base relationships, which we'll look at more. So here I have a chemical. I put in an acid. Well, I have something that changes colors to let me know how acidic it is. Now this has an acid buffer in it, so it wants to buffer out the acid. Something like you go out and you eat some chimichangas and that night, ooh, I'm a little upset. Well, you take a antacid, which is really just an acid buffer. Now it's gone back to a blue, moving into purple. If I add more of the acid, like our stomach might make, it'll go to a red. It's from red, but it wants to recover it pretty quickly. So it goes back to yellow, green, blue, and if there's enough of it in there, it'll eventually go back towards purple. But once again, we need to know something about chemistry as we move in and look at environmental science. And the last thing, which is actually very important, is understanding some social sciences. So you may have learned some about geography, anthropology, study of people and how we are, and sociology. For instance, if I tell you right now to not think about a giraffe, yeah, I know you just all thought about a giraffe. So when we had something like the ozone hole, well, it really wasn't a hole. It was a thinning of the ozone. But if I told you, hey, the ozone's thinning, you may not care much to take action. So we called it an ozone hole. Sounded much worse, got people to get involved and do something about it. So we have to know something about all of these in order to proceed. So, multidisciplinary science.